So, full disclosure, I've never used a Boss or a Roland SP device before, and I've had this one for less than a week, so this isn't a review. This is my first impressions, an initial reaction to Roland's new SP-404 Mark II. Now, the SP-303 and the SP-404 are some of the most important instruments in hip-hop history, right up there with the MPC and the Technics SL-1200. They've been used by the likes of J Dilla, Madlib, MF Doom, and even non-hip-hop artists like Panda Bear, Fortet, and even Radiohead. The original 404 came out in 2005, and while it has successors in the 404SX and the 404A, those were very minor upgrades. They did things like add an SD card, and in the case of the 404A, it gave the device a facelift to match with Roland's era line of instruments, which means stark blacks and kind of garish red and green highlights. It's a look, it's not for everybody, it's not for me. But the Roland 404 Mark II is a much more subdued looking device. It's gray and black with muted orange and white highlights. It's much nicer, much less eye-searing, so good job, Roland. Otherwise, though, it looks very much like any other entry in the 404 series. It's got 4 knobs up at the top, a circular display sandwiched between 6 effects buttons, and pads down at the bottom for triggering samples and patterns. That screen is probably the biggest upgrade here. See, previous 404s and the 303 had 7-segment LED displays. They showed 3 numbers at a time, whereas this has a high-res OLED display. That means you can actually see waveforms as you're editing them. You can get deep into menus without having to memorize obscure button presses. Whereas with the older ones, you just had numbers that represented start and end points, and because of the high resolution needed to get in and really trim samples properly, they had a very limited range, so you would end up doing things like trimming a sample multiple times just to get rid of the excess silence at the end. Whereas here you can zoom in on a waveform up to 11 times and really get detailed and find that zero crossing point to create the perfect loop without a pop. In fact, I would go so far as to say that editing and chopping samples on the 404 is actually kind of fun and not just easy. The other big change is to the pads. Now, unlike the 303 or the OG 404, the 404 Mark II has 16 pads. Now, yes, that gives you access to 4 more samples and patterns from which to compose your beats from, but just as importantly, this 4x4 grid of 16 pads has become something of an industry standard. It's what Akai uses on the MPC line, it's what Pioneer uses on its DJ equipment, it's what Native Instruments uses on the Machina, it's the default layout in Ableton's drum rack. It was even used on some of the earlier larger SP installments like the SP-606 and the SP-808. So this brings the device more in line with kind of what everybody else is doing on the interface front. These pads are also velocity sensitive, which is a first for the SP line. Now, to be clear, it's basically impossible to get full velocity out of these without just turning on fixed velocity. You can hammer them all you want, but it's never going to reach full volume. You do have to turn on fixed velocity, and to be fair, some finger drummers would prefer that anyway. It makes it easier to keep consistent volume between your melodic and rhythmic parts, but I do find that having fixed velocity on makes things sound a little bit robotic, a little bit stiffer, so that is a trade-off you have to think about when you're playing it. Now, you do have to turn the device around to see some of the other changes. You'll see on the back that Roland added MIDI out. Now, previous versions of the 404 had MIDI in only. Adding MIDI out means that you can control external gear hardware devices. You can even connect it to your DAW on your computer using the USB-C port, and this is one of those places where those 16 pads become all that more important because it will better map to whatever you're using it with. You'll also see that Roland finally ditched the RCA audio ins and outs. Now, this does have its downside, but on the whole, it's a net positive. See, generally, if you're using an SP, chances are you're using it to sample audio from vinyl records, and most turntables have RCA outs. That means there's going to be an intermediary step between getting your samples off records and onto the device itself. But the 1/4-inch in jacks means it's easier to sample from other devices and instruments like synthesizers and drum machines and guitars, which generally use 1/4-inch outs. And the audio inputs here are balanced, which means that it's less susceptible to noise and interference than RCA is. Now, in addition to the ins and outs on the back, there is a pair of headphone jacks on the front and another 1/4 inch in, which you can switch between mic and instrument level inputs. And there are input effects designed specifically to be used with those. So there's a pretty decent amp sim in there that can do everything from clean funk tones to thrash metal. There's a pitch correction effect and even a vocoder. Now, to make the best of that though, you will want to hook up an external MIDI keyboard to play chords and melodies. Otherwise, vocoder not super useful. Just in general, Roland has really upped the effects game on the SP here. In addition to the input effects, there are 2 bus effects which you can assign to pads. You can have a pad play through one or the other, both or none, so you can have a compressor on your drums, an EQ on your Rhodes, and both on, say, a bass line. And then there's 2 background effects. You'll find them if you dig into the menu under bus 3 and bus 4, and you can put that on everything. So if you just want to run everything through a vinyl simulator, you can do that. You can also customize what effects are on the 6 buttons around the screen. So if you don't like the resonator, for instance, which I don't, you can swap in the 303 vinyl sim and put it on everything, which I happen to like quite a bit. The one thing is that it will always say resonator, unfortunately, even though that is not the effect that is assigned to it. And the effect selection here is pretty large too. There's over 32 to choose from once you include the input effects. And they really do lean into the lo-fi vibe that SP users are generally looking for anyway. There's a new cassette simulator, there's a lo-fi effect, there's a bit crusher, and then you have the vinyl simulator from both the 303 and the 404. And many fans of the SP series will be quick to tell you that the vinyl simulator on the 303 blows the 404 out of the water, and I tend to agree with them. The 404 version is just a little bit too intense. The noise portion of it especially, it's basically just white noise. It's too consistent. It gets very annoying. Whereas the 303, excellent. Just sounds lovely. If I have one complaint on the effects section, it's that none of them are particularly subtle. The filter and drive, for instance, which is one of the effects that people come to the SP series for, sounds really great, but the drive is intense. On 1, it makes a huge difference to the sound of a sample. On 10, it's full-on distortion. And by the time you hit 100, it's just noise. Not that that's a bad thing, but that's what it is. And one of the things people like to use those effects for is resampling, mixing down beats or entire tracks to individual pads and adding effects there. And Roland added a DJ mode here so you can blend between completed beats, almost like having 2 404s side by side, but I honestly haven't delved into that too much. But resampling here is super, super easy. There is a resample button. It does exactly what it says it does. And the 404, OG 404 had that as well. So it was never particularly unintuitive. You know what you're getting. But Roland also added a skip back function. Now you do need to assign that in the menus to the sub pad. But what that does is it allows you to recall the last 25 seconds of audio, whether you're playing it on the device or if it was coming in through the audio inputs, and then save it to a new pad and trim it up as a sample. It allows you to really capture live performances or moments of spontaneity and inadvertent genius in case you happen to forget to hit the record button. And you can capture those moments anywhere because while the Roland SP-404 isn't exactly small, it does fit in a bag pretty easily, and it can be powered by 6 AA batteries, which means you can drag it to the park or to the couch or to a friend's house and play there even if you don't have the AC adapter. And just like previous members of the SP family, the 404 Mark II is affordable. Roland actually knocked $50 off the price, so when this goes on sale in November, it will only be $500. That puts it pretty firmly in the entry level of samplers. Now, it is $100 more expensive than the Circuit Rhythm, but honestly, I just like the sound of the SP more. I think the effects are better, and this screen alone is worth $100. It's just so much easier and so much faster to edit and chop samples on the SP than it is on the Circuit Rhythm. And then beyond that, there are no MPCs in this price range, but those are also far more complicated devices, closer to a DAW in a box than a sampler. The one thing that the Circuit Rhythm and even the Electron model samples has over the SP, though, is that those have a step sequencer. You do have to play the SP-404 Mark II live, so if rhythm isn't your strong suit, maybe take that into consideration. At the end of the day, though, what's most important is that the SP-404 Mark II is incredibly fun, incredibly approachable, and pretty damn affordable. Again, I'm not going to call this a review. This is not my final opinion. I'm not familiar enough with it yet to pass 100% judgment, but it is very quickly becoming my favorite entry-level sampler. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this and you want more sampler reviews and synthesizer reviews or phone reviews and laptop reviews or just the latest tech news, please follow Engadget and click that subscribe button.